When you think about keeping like a high-performance engine running smoothly, I feel like the first instinct is almost always about adding things to it.
Right. More is better.
Yeah, exactly. You pour in premium fuel, you use specialized oil, you're constantly topping off all the fluids.
Mhm.
Like, you would never assume that the best way to fix a sputtering engine is to just completely stop fueling it altogether.
No, of course not.
Hmm.
I mean, in traditional mechanics, an empty tank means the machine simply stops dead. The system just shuts down and, well, you're stranded.
Right, it's totally binary. Fuel equals power, and no fuel equals nothing. But if you're listening to this and wondering how on earth that applies to human biology, we are about to step into a landscape where that logic is completely inverted.
It really is.
We are exploring the extreme edges of biohacking today, anti-aging, longevity, all of it. And we're doing it by looking at the science behind a practice that intentionally runs your tank dry, which is the 3-day water fast.
And we should clarify, we aren't just talking about weight loss here or, a trendy new diet.
Right.
This is an exploration of a really ancient, deeply embedded biological mechanism that we all possess. I mean, this deep dive is going to challenge a lot of assumptions you might have about food, how we generate energy, and what cellular repair actually requires when you push the body to its absolute limits.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride. And to guide us, our source material today comes from Gary Brecka's Ultimate Human Platform.
Which is fantastic material.
It really is. We're looking at his detailed breakdown of water fasting, the precise physiological timeline of what happens as your body responds to the absence of food, and the hard science of detoxification. So, okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to demystify what actually happens to the human body when food is entirely removed for 72 hours. We are going to separate the ancient mystical hype from the modern clinical science.
Well, to truly understand the clinical science of today, we really have to look backward first. Because before we analyze what happens inside your cells on, like, Tuesday in the modern world, we need to establish why your body is wired to survive this kind of extreme deprivation in the first place.
Yeah, and the history here is just wild. The source notes that fasting isn't some, Silicon Valley biohacker invention. Ancient civilizations practically built their cultures around it.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got the Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians. They all utilized fasting, and they definitely weren't doing it just to drop a few pounds for booch season.
No, not at all.
They used it for intense physical cleansing, improved mental clarity, and, to enhance spiritual experiences. I mean, fasting is a foundational component across almost every major religion on earth.
Which really points to a universal human behavior.
Yeah.
But if we pull the lens back even further, like, look at the animal kingdom. Prolific fasters are everywhere.
Yeah.
Reptiles, penguins, seals, I mean, they can abstain from food for months. A fantastic example from the material is bears in hibernation.
Oh man, the bear stats are incredible. Let's talk about that because you've got this apex predator that just shuts down its primary biological drive for months.
Right. And during hibernation, a bear achieves a heart rate reduction of around 80%.
80%?
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah.
And their metabolic rate drops by 67% compared to their normal fed state.
Wow.
They aren't just sleeping. Their biology actively adapts to the absence of food by becoming radically, unbelievably efficient. They undergo a massive metabolic downregulation so they don't consume their own critical organ tissue while they rest.
That is just, it's fascinating. And humans are part of that same evolutionary tree.
Exactly.
Like prior to the agricultural revolution, so we're talking around 10,000 BC, food was not just scarce, it was actively dangerous to procure.
You had to risk your life to eat.
Right. You were dodging predators. Our ancestors adapted to long stretches without food simply because they had to. It was an involuntary, absolutely essential form of fasting just to survive.
It was baked into our daily existence.
But let me push back on this for a second. Sure.
If our ancestors treated fasting as this forced survival mechanism because they were literally dodging predators and facing starvation, are modern biohackers essentially just tricking their bodies?
How do you mean?
Like, are we artificially triggering a prehistoric survival stress response just to unlock anti-aging benefits?
Well, see, the word tricking implies we're making the body do something unnatural. But it's really an optimization response.
Okay.
Evolution didn't just teach the human organism to passively endure starvation. It taught the body to use that downtime to aggressively clean house.
Ah, I see.
The biological imperative is that if you are starving, you need to be stronger, sharper, and healthier for the next hunt, or you simply die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which brings us perfectly to the modern clinical evidence.
Yeah.
Because if evolutionary biology proves that we are capable of fasting, modern science is finally explaining how it actually heals us.
Yes.
And the source provides a really impressive stack of literature on this. We've definitely moved far beyond historical anecdotes at this point.
Hmm.
The clinical data observing this cellular optimization is highly robust.
Let's run through it because it's pretty extensive. In 2016, the Journal of Behavioral Sciences published a massive review looking at obese, overweight, and normal weight subjects. And they found clear links across both human and animal evidence that calorie restriction leads to fewer diseases and longer lifespans.
And crucially, not just lifespan, but health span.
Right, the quality of those years. Nobody wants to live to 100 if the last 20 years are miserable.
Exactly.
And then an August 2023 editorial in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition detailed how fasting prevents disease and actively influences age-related pathologies.
So the engine driving all of those incredible benefits is a very specific cellular mechanism.
Right.
In 2017, the Current Diabetes Report, followed by a 2018 study in the Journal of Aging, really drilled down into this core process. It's a cellular stress response called autophagy.
Autophagy. Auto meaning self, and phagy meaning eating. So the body literally eating itself.
Right. I know it sounds alarming when you phrase it like that.
Yeah, it sounds like a horror movie.
It does. But it's highly selective scavenging. During autophagy, the body doesn't just indiscriminately destroy healthy tissue.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, it operates on a strict triage system. It targets its most inefficient resources first. It literally hunts down cellular components that are just waste, damaged proteins, misfolded cells, old organelles, and it dismantles them.
Wow.
It derives energy by consuming its own cellular garbage and converting it into usable amino acids.
That's amazing. And the source uses a great analogy for this. It's like taking out the trash.
Yes, perfect analogy.
And I want to build on that a little. If eating constantly is like throwing trash into the street faster than the garbage trucks can arrive, is fasting basically shutting down the entire city grid so the street sweepers can finally catch up?
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
that is exactly the mechanism at play. And to take your analogy a step further, the street sweepers aren't just clearing the roads.
What are they doing?
They are taking that trash, breaking it down, and using it to fuel their own engines.
Oh, wow. That's incredibly efficient.
It is. When you upregulate autophagy through fasting, you are dramatically improving waste elimination, cellular repair, and detoxification. The 2018 Journal of Aging study concluded that this process triggers cellular regeneration at an incredible positive rate.
So it's not just cleaning, it's rebuilding.
Exactly. Tissues and organs across the entire body respond to food deprivation by rebuilding themselves from the ground up.
Okay, so we have the history and we have the overarching science of autophagy. But let's look at the actual biological survival narrative. Like, what is the escalating response in the body when you cut off the fuel supply?
Let's walk through it.
Yeah, let's trace the physiological journey of a 3-day water fast, starting at the exact moment you swallow your last bite of food.
Well, the first phase is really just the body clearing the deck.
Right. If you're attempting this, the first stretch, so hours 0 to 12, is mostly just a waiting game. Your body is still digesting that last meal. Your insulin levels remain elevated because you still have circulating blood sugar.
And clearing that insulin is the necessary first hurdle.
Why is that so critical?
Because we know that chronic insulin elevation leads to cellular resistance.
Yeah.
And that is a primary driver of metabolic aging. For a long, healthy life, human cells must remain highly sensitive to insulin.
Makes sense.
The less insulin your body requires to regulate your blood sugar, the less wear and tear on your metabolic systems. So those first 12 hours are simply the time it takes for the dietary sugar to clear and that insulin spike to finally recede.
But eventually, the easy fuel runs out. Usually around that 12 to 18-hour mark, your body realizes another meal isn't coming.
Right, the pantry's closed.
Yeah. That's when the biological alarm bells ring and the system is forced to pivot. It abandons burning sugar and starts burning fat.
The primary fuel source fundamentally changes. You enter early ketosis. And as that progresses toward the 24-hour mark, the body initiates a really crucial chemical countermeasure.
What's that?
A glucoregulatory peptide hormone called glucagon begins to rise in the bloodstream.
Okay, glucagon. Now, if insulin's job is to lock the sugar away into our cells and lower our blood glucose, but I haven't eaten and my brain still desperately needs energy to function, I'm assuming glucagon is the key that kicks the pantry door back open.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. Glucagon is the biological antagonist to insulin.
Okay.
It travels to the liver and stimulates a process called gluconeogenesis. It forces the liver to take stored glucose, which is held in a form called glycogen, and convert it back into usable sugars for the bloodstream.
Oh, I get it. So our muscles and our liver act like biological battery backups.
Yes, exactly.
When the main power grid goes down around 18 hours, the body flips the switch and we start running off the backup generators.
You are officially surviving on your own biological reserves at that point.
Hmm.
The dietary energy from your last meal is completely gone.
Which brings us to the second day. And we're talking about this like it's a simple cellular reboot. But let's be real, skipping lunch makes most of us cranky.
Oh, totally. The hang phase is real.
Right. Making it past 24 hours requires immense willpower. But once you cross that threshold, okay, let's unpack this. Here's where it gets really interesting.
It really does.
Between 24 and 48 hours, the true biohacking benefits unlock. Autophagy, that street-sweeping process we talked about, kicks into high gear. The source refers to this specific window as the brain cleansing phase.
And this is the phase where the subjective experience often shifts dramatically for people.
Like they stop feeling hungry.
Yeah, the initial hunger pangs usually subside, and people report startling physiological changes. Incredible increases in mental clarity, sustained energy, and hyper-alertness.
Wow.
The old, damaged cellular components in your brain are being actively recycled into fresh amino acids, providing a high-grade, highly efficient fuel source.
Okay, I have to play the skeptic here for a minute,
Go for it.
because this sounds completely counterintuitive. If I haven't eaten a single calorie in 2 full days, how on earth is my body finding the energy to make me feel more alert?
It's a fair question.
Some people even feel the urge to exercise. Like, is my brain purely running off the recycled junk from my cells?
Well, it is utilizing that recycled fuel, yes, but the hyper-alertness is driven by a profound evolutionary mechanism.
Okay.
Think back to our ancestors on the plains. If you haven't eaten in 2 days, your body knows you are in extreme danger.
Right, you're starving.
You need to find food, and you need to do it perfectly. If starvation made you lethargic, weak, and brain-fogged, you would never catch your prey.
Oh, wow. You'd just lay down and die.
Exactly. The human race would have gone extinct. Instead, the total absence of food triggers a catecholamine response.
A catecholamine response.
Yeah, it's a chemical clarity and physical energy surge. It gives you the raw focus and stamina to go execute a successful hunt.
Wow. It's literally a biological overdrive designed entirely to keep you alive.
Precisely.
That makes perfect sense. And the body doesn't stop there, right? It starts playing defense, too. Moving into the 48 to 54-hour window, the source notes a massive surge in HGH, human growth hormone.
This is critical for preservation. Right in the center of your brain, the pituitary gland begins to secrete massive amounts of HGH.
And what does that do in this context?
The evolutionary logic here is that the body needs to protect your lean tissue. It uses this growth hormone surge to repair tissues and defend your muscle mass, ensuring that you don't degrade your physical structure while you are running on empty.
So simultaneously, inflammation in the body begins to drastically tank. You're preserving muscle, clearing out cellular garbage, and lowering systemic inflammation all at once.
It's multitasking at its finest.
It really is. And as we move past hour 54, that insulin sensitivity we talked about earlier becomes highly optimized. Your body is practically resetting its relationship with sugar.
Which perfectly sets the stage for the pinnacle of the fasting timeline. The environment in the body is now primed for maximum regeneration.
Hour 72 and beyond, the holy grail of the 3-day water fast.
What's fascinating here is the ultimate payoff. At 72 hours, autophagy hits its absolute peak. But more importantly, the stress of the fast triggers your body's own stem cells to multiply and release into your blood circulation.
Stem cells. Okay, these are the master cells, right? The blank slates that can turn into whatever the body needs.
Exactly.
And the source emphasizes that these stem cells are exactly as old as you are. They belong to the host.
Yeah, and under normal fed conditions, these stem cells remain dormant. They're held deep inside your bone marrow, your long bones, your hips, and your femurs.
Just wait them.
Just waiting. But after 3 days of zero food, the biological survival signal reaches a critical threshold. The body assumes massive trauma is imminent, so it deploys its ultimate repair mechanism. It releases these stem cells into the bloodstream.
That is wild.
And once they're in circulation, they act like biological heat-seeking missiles.
But wait, how do they know where to go? If they're just dumped into the bloodstream, how are they finding the specific tissues that need repairing?
Ah, they follow chemical gradients.
What does that mean?
Tissues that are damaged or inflamed emit specific signaling molecules. The stem cells detect these inflammatory signals, migrate directly to the source of the damage, and begin the repair process.
Oh, wow.
They rebuild damaged tissue, and your immune cells undergo massive refreshment. It is a total systemic reboot.
It's almost hard to wrap your head around the scale of it. I mean, over 3 days, you transition from simply digesting lunch to burning your backup glycogen to sweeping your cellular streets via autophagy and finally to releasing ancient stem cells from your bone marrow to rebuild your organs from the inside out.
It's a miraculous system. But, as we transition from ancient biology to modern application, it's worth exploring how biohackers are navigating this stress today. Because ancient humans only had regular river water to get them through these survival stretches.
Yeah.
If your body is doing all this heavy lifting, sweeping streets and deploying stem cells,
Yeah.
how do you support that massive undertaking without breaking the fast?
Yeah, that's where the source introduces a fascinating modern tool.
Exactly.
Because modern fasters want to optimize those physiological changes. Gary Brecka's source material details a specific tool he uses during that 72-hour window, which is the Echo H2O Plus generator.
Yes.
It's a portable bottle that actually infuses your drinking water with high parts per million hydrogen. And just a quick note for you listening, the source does mention a discount code for this Ultimate 10 if you end up looking into this specific hardware.
And the addition of hydrogen to the water isn't just a gimmick. It's a very deliberate clinical choice.
How so?
Well, the peer-reviewed science behind hydrogen water shows that it serves multiple supportive functions during a fast. It actively reduces inflammation in the digestive tract, it balances stomach acid, and crucially, it feeds an entire class of beneficial gut bacteria that are otherwise completely starving during those 3 days.
Okay, let me make sure I'm picturing this right mechanically. You literally press a button on this bottle, and bubbles of hydrogen gas are forced into the water.
Right.
So we aren't just drinking water to stay hydrated, we're essentially turning regular H2O into a highly active delivery system.
Precisely. And it all comes down to molecular size. Because hydrogen is the smallest molecule in the universe, it easily permeates cellular membranes.
Oh, I see.
It penetrates deep into the tissues to provide a baseline level of cellular support. It also allows for much better absorption of any supplements or foods you might introduce when you finally break the fast.
Which is important.
Very important.
Yeah.
And it does all this without triggering an insulin response and breaking the fasting state itself.
Man,
Yeah.
you're taking the oldest evolutionary survival trick in the book and layering literal molecular technology over it. It's incredible.
It's a fascinating intersection of old and new.
Well, we have covered an immense amount of ground today, from the ancient Romans and high-floating bears down-regulating their heart rates, right down to the stem cells hiding in your femurs waiting for an inflammatory signal.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. The journey your body takes over just 72 hours of water fasting is nothing short of a biological symphony.
It really is an orchestrated masterpiece of survival. And the source does provide a completely free, comprehensive guide to safely trying this at ultimatehuman.com.
Yes, definitely check that out.
But we must provide a very firm safety boundary here, echoing the source material itself. A 3-day water fast is absolutely not for everyone.
We cannot stress that enough. Do not just jump into this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You must check with your doctor before attempting a water fast or any form of severe caloric restriction. Depending on your medical history, your current medications, or just your baseline metabolic state, this level of deprivation can be incredibly dangerous if not supervised properly.
Right.
It is a powerful tool, but it demands respect and medical clearance.
Always consult your physician first. Now, as we wrap up, so what does this all mean?
Yeah.
We started this deep dive by talking about an engine and how our modern instinct is always to keep the fuel tank completely full.
Topping it off constantly.
Right. But if human biology contains such a highly calibrated, miraculous system for self-repair, cellular regeneration, and disease prevention, a system that only fully activates in the total, absolute absence of food, what does that say about the invisible biological cost of our modern 204/7 always-fed lifestyle?
Wow.
Are we rusting out our own engine simply because we never let the tank run dry?
That is a profound question to leave on.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the limits of human biology. Keep questioning the consensus, and we'll see you next time.